Lefty.
Here.
Commissioner Boyd.
Here.
Commissioner Gooch.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Present.
Commissioner P.
Here.
Chairman Carr.
Here.
Thank you.
Vice Chairman P, have you had an opportunity to review the minutes of the previous meeting?
I have, and found them in order, and I'll make a motion for their approval.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes stand approved. Carla, do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. Item 5, under advisement, Mike Hughes, Doug DeMossi. I think got you guys first on call, written in. Sorry, Sheriff, or not, Deputy Spence. I've got him first. This is, why don't you tell us what it is, remind the committee what we're doing, because I think we opened this at the last committee meeting.
Back in June.
Was it June or was it July? Okay, thank you. At a previous meeting, how about that?
Yes, sir. Well, historically, the city of Murfreesboro has helped the county with traffic signal management, upkeep, maintenance, reprogramming, and they have recently asked us to, they want to wean us away from their services, so we are in need of finding a traffic engineer consultant to help us with those duties, but also not just traffic signal maintenance and management, but also with traffic impact studies. When we see a new development, how is the new development going to impact the local road systems? And we're looking for a third-party consultant to help us with that. So what we did back in June is, if you recall, we had requests for qualifications, and we received some from Neil Schaefer here in town, and we went into negotiations with Neil Schaefer. State law does not allow engineers to bid services. They're kind of like planners, prima donnas, and they want to negotiate everything out. So that's what we've done, and they've come up with a master agreement for professional services, and Douglas has got copies of those. And they essentially is a overall contract with the basic things that we're looking for: traffic signal services, design review services, and then also support and independent review for traffic impact studies for the new developments. So this is the overall contract, and then each individual project will have a task order where we're specifically saying, hey, we need you to look at this traffic signal. It's having some issues. Can you reprogram it and add some more queue time, or evaluate it and maybe add some more queuing time for a particular lane or whatever, you know? So that's what we're looking with Neil Schaefer, and we've got Greg Judy in the audience. He's here from Neil Schaefer, and he might be able to answer any questions that I have not.
Would the committee like to hear from Mr. Judy? Please. Mr. Judy? You come forward and
Certainly.
come front and center. And if you would introduce yourself and who you're with.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. My name is Greg Judy. I'm a registered professional engineer in the state of Tennessee and vice president with the company, and our office is just down the street here on Main Street. So we appreciate the opportunity to work with Doug and Mike, and we've had an office, just for y'all's knowledge, here in Murfreesboro since 2006, and here on the square since 2015. So our background historically has been in traffic engineering, transportation in general, so I feel like this is really up our alley, and we provide similar services to the city of Murfreesboro and other local communities right around the mid-city. So I'll be happy to answer any specific questions that y'all might have as far as the type of services that Mike and Doug have approached us, and of course we went through the qualifications process, like you said. So, but we do appreciate the opportunity and being part of the community.
So currently, we have 6 traffic signals out in the unincorporated areas of the county, but we're soon shall have a number 7. They had a pre-construction meeting for the Chevrolet Pike and Rock Springs Midland Road intersection. If you recall, there was a tragic fatality just a few days ago at that intersection. So because of its configuration and the number of traffic accidents at that intersection, the state is going to put in a traffic signal. But once it's built, it's up to the county to maintain. And that's where Greg, his people will come in to help us out with that maintenance of that signal. We've got others. If you can recall that we've got one at Lebanon Pike and Central Valley will be coming soon. Let's see, Chevrolet Pike and Walnut Grove Road is a potential. There's a lot of development happening on my side of town, so we are gaining more and more traffic signals. So we need third-party help.
Mike, you mentioned traffic studies earlier.
Yes, sir.
How's this different than the traffic studies that are required sometimes with the development that the engineering firm usually provides?
Right.
How's that different?
Well, it would be, historically, it was just staff. You know, we would sit down with a consultant and say, hey, this is the scope of the project. We would, say which intersections we feel you need to study, which roads we need to look at. Greg and his staff will help us with that as well. But then they will also look at the finished report itself. And do we agree with it? Do we say it needs some additional work or whatnot? So,
They've also said that they would help us with the scoping meetings prior to the studies being
Right.
completed, where we would have the consultant team and whoever's doing their traffic engineering work and staff, and then Greg and his team, they'd be there and we'd actually scope out ahead of time what the study should look like before they even submit it. So they'd be on the front end and then also the review it after it's been submitted.
We really view ourselves as an extension of staff when it comes to that responsibility. So we again, that said, help with the scoping. There's a kind of an MOU that's developed between the applicant, the developer, and the county as we would be representative of the county when that comes to that respect. And so it just helps kind of manage the process, make sure there's consistency. And sometimes you get one thing from one developer's engineering, maybe getting them a little different depending on who they're using. So we hope that, and we found in the past it helps create some consistency and really takes a little bit of the load off of staff to help be a little sounding board back to the developer group and their design team when things are needed. So it's just kind of another layer of opportunity to have that dialogue with the.
From a budget perspective, has this been?
We do have money in the budget for that. Now, the study, like the traffic studies and things that we're referring to, we set up a mechanism where the developer will be the one paying for that work, for their review.
That's an important point, yeah.
And now the traffic signal work and things, yes, we do have money budgeted for that kind of maintenance work.
maintenance and repair and reviews.
So let's get this perfectly clear. There's a large development that goes in off this road, and it connects to a main road. And we do a traffic study, and the traffic study indicates that there's a traffic signal that's warranted there during that planning process. The responsibility to put that in with any road improvements is whose?
It'd be up to the developer. Yeah, now, once it's installed, constructed and everything, maintenance would fall on the county at that point. Right.
Does the state have to approve any of these? or-
If it's
I
on
know
a
they-
TDOT state road.
So the recent one that was installed at Chevrolet Pike and Rucker Lane was on a state route, so we had to have their blessing on that. So, but eventually, it's still the developer's responsibility, but eventually it will be ours to maintain.
Well, if the state says no, do we still get to put one in if we desire to on a state road?
I think it would be their final call. Yes, sir. I would agree.
Our experience is kind of a case-by-case basis. There's always circumstances that come up, but that review definitely goes through the region office up in Nashville. But I would say just anecdotally speaking, that a lot of times the department allows the local agencies to have, a fair amount of influence on that decision making too. They, as long as the general requirements are met, they tend to let the locals.
I've got some questions about a specific one in my district that we've had problems with needing a turn arrow.
Oh, yes.
So you know where
I
I'm
know
talking about.
exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
So I expect you to fix this.
Come to the right track.
Well, that's.
It gets into the signal phase, we call it
Yeah, it's
phasing or
interesting.
signal phasing, so absolutely.
We
Three,
both know
three,
there's a lot
three
more
legs of
involved.
that are the state, and one leg is the county.
Well, that's
So-
why I said,
Yes, sir.
to make it clear to the rest of them, everyone I've been involved with was a state road, so it's always state involvement.
Yes, sir.
When is, Mr. Chair, when is the city of Murfreesboro cutting off our arrangement,
They're-
or have they already done that?
They have not officially done it, but they are, trying to wean us from their help. They have apparently 160 traffic signals in their inventory, and they just said they love to help us, but it's limited staff. They only have so much time.
Do we reimburse them for their services?
We reimburse their electrical contractor for the services. So if there's like a bulb needs replacing, a tether wire needs attached or something like that, we reimburse the contractor. We have not historically done the city anything, but one of the most recent agreements that they said that they could charge us for their time if they had to, but that's part of the reason for
Yeah.
kind of weaning us from their help.
So knowing what we have, I'm assuming you may have surveyed what we have.
We've not done that as yet.
Okay.
So I'm
Well,
not sure.
how much do we anticipate, or can we anticipate, annual cost?
Well, it's on an as-needed, on-call basis, so just the contract in and of itself, there's no money attached to it, but kind of, I think, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, the thoughts we had is, once we get the consultant on board, we would actually ask him to do kind of a comprehensive overhaul of what's out there as far as our signals and the maintenance needs and things, and that would give us a better idea of budgeting. We've got money in the budget to move forward with that, it's just a matter of what are we looking like as the years go on. We don't,
Doug, and we put that money, we budgeted for these services, or
Correct.
the anticipation for these services in the 24-25
that's our
budget.
budget, sir. So yeah, there is a lot, we don't have to come back and ask for anything, there is money already waiting.
So other than studies and engineer type work, it's basically maintenance.
Correct.
The biggest.
Yes, that'd probably be most of the day-to-day things. Like I said, when it comes to the actual review of traffic studies and meeting with the developers, we're gonna set up, make it where the developers will pay for that part of it, so the county won't pay out of pocket for that.
And one more question, so if we require a traffic study, will we use our people, or will the developers have an opportunity to use their people? or
Yeah, the
how-
developer will still use whoever they're going to use, but like Greg said, he's kind of acting as an extension of staff at that point.
That's why I called you our people.
Yeah.
So he is our people.
We are, hopefully after this meeting.
And as Doug said, they, in that particular arrangement, specifically when it comes to our staff, myself, reviewing the studies, the applicant, the developer would actually pay either the county and then they would transfer it over to us, or they might even just deal with us directly. So as far as the review of the traffic studies, that cost is on the developer and the applicant, not the county. One thing I want to clarify is we don't actually perform signal maintenance. That will continue to be done through a contractor. We help assess, advise. We can make timing changes, controller with a computer that runs the traffic signals, but I'm not an electrician. I don't get it. We don't get out there and actually fool with the actual changing out of equipment. That process will still continue to happen through a licensed contractor that the county has access to. But as far as the advisement and that decision making, the engineering that you mentioned, that's our kind of where our role is focused.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
There's just one quick follow-up question. We have 6 now, working on 7. What's the vision, like 5 years from now? Probably double
Bunch of
or more?
It's hard to say more, yeah.
More and more.
It won't ever go down.
So this work will be much more important 5 years from now.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Remind me, since it's been a couple months there, but it seems that there was only one bid on this.
That's
is that
correct.
One submittal for qualifications, yes, sir.
But there are other people in the area that are qualified to do this work.
Yes, and I think one of the reasons maybe we didn't see as many is because when we scoped out the proposal to begin with, we wanted a firm that wasn't really in the business of actually performing the traffic studies to be submitted for private development. And from talking with Greg and his folks, you know, this is the kind of work that they do, is the review of the studies, not so much for the private development. So obviously we didn't want to get somebody on board where there may be a conflict of working on a project and, oh, well, we did a traffic study for it, we really can't review it. So that was, I think, one of the reasons why we didn't see quite as
We
many.
really very rarely find that I'll ever do business for the development community. Our practice is focused on public service to the cities, TDOT, the cities and the counties. So that's our angle, that's kind of one of our business models, if you will. So our focus is on serving our public agency partners and not working for the development community, if that makes sense.
Good answer.
Yeah, I got one
Yes,
question.
sir.
In the future, if we so desire to add cameras, would you coordinate that, or who
So-
would coordinate that?
Get a little techie on it. What kind of cameras are you referring to?
I'm referring to the cameras that they use in the city, traffic
For like
cameras.
surveillance?
Right.
So that's a bigger discussion. I mean, that would be a desire the county would have to, as far as monitoring and having, the city of Murfreesboro, and those are the cameras that you can get on the local access TV channel and see from that surveillance. It's certainly possible. You know, there's really not as much need, I would say, you know, for the county, just as far as.
Not
that-
much need in that.
Correct. But from a technical standpoint, there's technical ways to make that happen. And then you would need, you know, manpower and services to be able to support that. But that's certainly something that if the county's interested to go that direction, it could be done.
To follow up, that is something that you could provide guidance to the county for in that regard. I
As
think.
far as like prioritization, maybe we could look at what areas, and we would do that in collaboration with staff and the county in general to try to identify areas where that could be important. There's some safety aspects maybe perhaps to that as well, but if that's an interest the county has, that's something certainly we could research and investigate.
One more question, school crossings, the yellow flashing light, does this include those?
It does not. Usually, it's typically the school board that takes care of those.
Get ready.
Any other questions for Mr. Judy?
Appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you, Mr. Judy. We'll go back into session. Any other questions for Mr. Hughes or Mr. DeMasi regarding the RFQ? So, what is your recommendation?
We recommend partnering, having a contract signed with Neil Schaefer. This has been reviewed by the committee. Yes, it has. They've signed off.
That's the recommendation. We'll need a motion in a second.
Move to approve the contract.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any further discussion? Seeing none, Carla, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
There you go.
Thanks
Thank
a
y'all.
lot.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Mike. Now we, to the, Mr. Spence, Mr. Holden, are up next. This is an RFQ for Rutherford County Sheriff inmate uniforms and supplies.
Good evening.
Why don't you tell us what we're doing and why we're here?
Yes, sir. We received 4 bids for the inmate uniforms and supplies. We're recommending going with Victory Supplies, a primary, and Bob Barker as a secondary. Bob Barker has some prices that's cheaper than Victory Supplies.
Is that different than the contract we're under right now?
But we still do business with them now.
That's how you're doing this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, there's no objection. Call roll.
Yes, sir.
Carl, who's second? Was that you, Anthony?
Robert. We both did, but Robert.
Robert second.
I'll yield to Anthony, doesn't matter.
Just for
I just heard a second. I wasn't paying attention.
Okay. Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Pease?
Yes.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
Thank you.
Carl, before we forget,
Mhm.
we need to sign
Yeah,
some of these, don't we?
yeah, I can just set them up there and y'all can sign later.
Yeah, so what we'll do, normally I know we pass them around after we get done, but if we'll stick around after the meeting, we'll just sign everything at once. Is that okay with everybody? Thank you. That way because we've misplaced things from time to time, not permanently, but we don't want to misplace anything, even temporarily. We have an RFQ for chemicals and custodial supplies for the sheriff's office. Maybe Chief Vance, what are we talking about?
Yes, sir, it's the chemical and custodial supplies back in the jail. We only received 2 bids. We would like to go with both companies, Leaden Chemicals and American Paint. I see what you guys is good. We can work there. Yes, sir, and American Paint.
Chairman Phillips, weren't you opining the last time about American paper?
My grandfather was their first employee and worked for them for 70 years before. Wow.
That's awesome.
Pretty impressive.
70 years. Just about every company I've ever worked for has used them.
Been around.
Yeah.
There's a reason. We'll need a motion, and if that's your recommendation.
Yes, sir.
We'll need a motion and a second.
Move to approve.
Second. That second was from Commissioner Boyd.
I was watching.
Any discussion? Seeing none, and if there's no objection, call the roll.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Pease?
Yes.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
Thank you.
That, I think, concludes under advisement. Yes, it does. And do we have anything else?
Yes, sir, the coding of the narcotics
The
bill.
next.
And Captain
new
Holt
business.
is gone.
New business.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Scott,
Thanks.
why don't you explain what it is that we're doing here, Chief Spence?
I'm gonna let Captain Holton present this one.
Thank you.
First, we have a warehouse that's owned by the county where we handle special investigations out there, so we don't have the address on there. There's about 16,000, 17,000 square foot roof. We have been lifting it along for a while and had several leaks in it. It's currently been leaking for about the last month or so. And we looked at different options. We had one bid to replace the roof for like $140,000, and then I talked to some other folks about putting a coating. It's like a seamless coating that they go in, pressure wash the roof, remove all the rust, they prime it, and they spray it with it's like a acrylic paint, and that paint seals. They go through and screw down all the screws and replace any screws that need to be replaced, and they spray it, and it makes it almost like a seamless roof. It connects it all together, and we sent out bids for that.
I have a question. Adam Dodd, our maintenance guy, has a lot of experience with roofs, if I'm not mistaken. Adam, there you are.
Come on up.
Adam, can you kind of come up and, you did. If you don't mind, Captain Holton, I want to get Adam's input on this. Are you aware of the particular vendor in this case and what the application they're using, and do we have any, at the county, do we have any experience with it?
Who's the vendor?
We sent out one to Middle Tennessee Roof Coating and to Spartan Roof Coating, and one more company. I don't have an estimate from them because they never sent me
But
anything.
you only got
back.
one back?
I don't know how many.
We only received one bid in, and that was from Spartan Roof Company. It's roof coating.
More than likely, the product that they're looking at is a similar or like product to other products that we have used in the past. They're all similar products. It's just a liquid membrane. It's an elastomeric coating that is applied in thin layers to create a rubber seamless roof. Now, we have some of the commissioners over the last 2 or 3 years are very well aware that we have used this type of product on 3 roofs in the county, the Veterans Center, the Journeys Home facility, the maintenance department facilities, and this roof has a seamless coated roof. So thus far, all of those roofs have been we've had pretty good success with this type of roof. So if it's a similar product to what I'm familiar with, which I'm sure it is, the roof systems that we've used in the past were Aztec roofs. Vague, but it's probably, Mayor, to answer your question, it's probably a similar product to what we have used in the past.
Captain Bolton, do you have a recommendation? Or you wanted to take this, what would you like for the committee to consider?
Well, they've been leaking for about 2 months now. And if we take it under advisement, I don't do this a whole lot, but if we take it under advisement, it's gonna be another 30 days of water dripping on the secretary's head.
I wasn't trying to lead you to that. I was trying to get you to tell us what you would like for us to do
I
so
would
we
like
could discuss it.
I would like to go ahead and get it fixed because it's been, almost 90 days since it started. They've got a 10-year warranty. We've talked in the past about, I don't know, we've talked to you in the past about getting out of that building. And so.
This is the building on Epps Mill?
Yes. Yes. And so we talked in the past about getting out of that, and I think this is the cheaper option rather than replacing all the metal up top, which was, I got a bid from a company to do that for $140 grand, completely replace the roof. And so $60,000 or $62,000 with the warranty for 10 years, I think it's a better option than replacing the whole roof for $140, especially if we're thinking about selling it in the next couple of years.
I have a question for you, and I assume, since it's the same roof here, at the end of that 10 years, if that roof, and we kept the building and it needed re-roofing, that's one that they could actually come in and clean and then add another layer without having to tear it off.
You are correct. All of the systems that we have at the 10-year mark prior to the roofer or the installer will come out, whoever holds the warranty will come out and inspect the roof, and then they'll give you extensions to 5 or 10 years. So the warranties are renewable.
But when they recode it, it's not anywhere near this price, it's a fraction.
Correct, it is a fraction. I know when we were looking to do the community care of Rutherford County, the initial job, $200-something thousand for that job, and I want to say that after 10 years, the renewal was estimated at $50,000 for an additional 10 years. So it is a fraction of the cost.
The company that you mentioned earlier, did they do all of the roofs that we've already had done, or have there been different companies?
They did, with the exception of this building. So this building was part of the renovation and beautification. This building was Tim Lieber, and it's a Garland roof. Now, the other 3 buildings that I mentioned, in addition to the community care facility, were done by Tennessee Roofing Solutions, and that's an Aztec product. And some of you commissioners might remember there was a presentation here in this room for Aztec, and that installer, we've had a great deal of success with his roofs. He has stood by his work. We haven't had any warranty issues whatsoever.
My question is leading up to why did a company like that bid?
My only explanation is they might have not been made aware or might have not seen the posting.
too, they have a lot of subcontractors that use their product, and these guys may be using their product, I don't know. But I know they have several subcontractors around the area that do that for them. So this could be one of them, as far as I know, I don't know.
I do know that with the Aztec product that I am familiar with, that we have used over the last 3 years, they only offer their product to certified installers. So that might have had some,
Did,
bearing on it.
did you say you were not familiar with Spartan?
I have not used Spartan roof coatings.
Did this bid come with recommendation?
Well, I don't know about, I mean, I've used them personally on about a 6,000 square foot barn, and I've only had to call them back once, and they came back within 24 hours. So I don't, that's the only reason I knew about them when I was, and then I had to research the others to find somebody to send out bid specs.
I think this is very urgent to get that roof done. Taking a chance on, I'm assuming, taking a chance if it leaks in the wrong or the right space, it's gonna create a problem through the courts. That was, you can't pay enough for that.
For informational purposes, we approve this contract. Where does it go? Does it go to budget for financing?
I think it ends here and goes, that allows him to go ahead and do the contract.
It does.
Where does the money come from? What budget does it come from?
Steve?
Narcotics doesn't pay for it out of their fund.
Motion to approve the contract.
We have a motion. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, if there's no objection, Carl, call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Pete?
Yes.
Chairman Carr?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Holton. Deputy
Thank
Chief Smith,
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Are you done?
The next item is an RFQ for the Rutherford County Emergency EMS. Scotty, what are we doing?
We are opening bids on remount ambulances. So basically what that is we're taking an older ambulance and putting a new truck in here, moving the box covers, refurbishing everything, slightly cheaper than a new one.
And we've done this before,
Yes,
haven't
sir.
we?
Yes, sir. I would say that they're a lot cheaper than the new ones, but I don't know what the bids are gonna come in at, but I know everything's gone up, so I don't know how far off from the new one we'll be. But we've got some real good boxes that can be put on a new truck and save the county government.
Well, if they're not a savings, would you recommend we don't take any of them to get new ones?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just out of curiosity.
Yes, sir. But like I said, the companies we've been buying from, when I first started this years ago, I've still got a few of theirs left, but I wouldn't even attempt to remount any of those. But the ones that I have now, I think we can go at least one time, maybe two, to save a little money. Of course, down the road, the way we're growing, we'll have to buy more. I'm still purchasing 2 new ones also this year. We did buy those in the SAGAT contract, so we only do 2 extras. So they're about anywhere from 13 to 16 months behind on everything. So I just took delivery of 3 new trucks that was ordered in August of 22. We just got those in a couple of months ago. So everything's that far behind. Yes, sir. So the ones I ordered last year, they've got a bill date of April of next year. So we'll probably have them in June or July. So
how much quicker can you get these done? It's just a
probably about the same. So I've got the ones that we did last year. I just took the first one over a couple of weeks ago. And they just started on it, and when they get done with that one, I got another one going on. So that was on last year's list. Yeah, that's over the shelf. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's who's doing that.
So we received 2 bids in. The first one is from Select Tech Incorporated. And the second one is from Northwestern.
It's right after
Select Tech, so they the ones that did our last one.
But on the Select Tech, they bid 149, 100 each, so 149, 100,000 each. And the Northwestern, they're at 168,880 each.
You used both of them before?
We haven't used Northwestern. We never had a remount with them. We used to buy new products from them years ago. They had it was a different company then that sold AEV ambulances, and they were bought out by the Rev Group. And once they were bought out, prices went up like $15,000 overnight. So we changed to a different company. I'm buying all my new stuff from MedX out of Indiana now.
Let me be clear on the number you spit out a minute ago.
Yes, sir.
I think you may have misspoke, but it's $149,100.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And how many are we talking about?
2 of them.
2, quantity 2.
Yes, sir.
So it'd be quantity 2 for times this price, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I do have the money for that. And I would make the motion to accept Select Tech's bid.
You make the recommendation.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm sorry.
We have a motion for Select Tech from Commissioner Johnson. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any further discussion?
quick question.
Yes,
On
sir.
Northwestern, I'm showing a delivery date of 720 to 750 days. Does Select Tech have something in there on that?
He didn't put any exceptions. Like I said, the ones I've got over there now was like 14 months.
So this is about right?
Yes, sir.
You think
Yes,
that'll be
sir.
about the
Yes,
same?
yes. Everybody is anywhere from 14 to 16 to 18 months behind. So, and like I said, these, they have done all the ones we have, and the good thing about it, we buy a lot of things from them, even with their new trucks, and we can run right down the road to pick up stuff. I made a trip over today to pick up some parts where we had to order it, and I had to wait a couple of days on it. I went over and picked them up and brought them right back.
So they're in Shelbyville?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we've done business with them for a long time.
Any other questions? We have a motion from Mr. Johnson and a second from Mr. Phillips. If there's no objection to the question, no further discussion, Carla, call the roll, please.
Okay, Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner McKee?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here, yes.
Commissioner
Moved
Gooch?
off on me here.
Here. I mean, yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Peak,
Yes.
Chairman Carr.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir, thank y'all.
The third item under new business is the Rutherford County Court Edition. Ron, you want to take it, right? Thank you. I'm trying to remember names. I'm not good at it, but I'm working on it. Y'all come up and tell us, you and Adam, Ron, tell us what we're doing. It will be good.
Hello, everybody. Ron Costantino, KSA.
A regular visitor.
A regular visitor, yes. Mr. Mayor, I gave you some sign-in sheets right there.
Oh, thank you.
Under that.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much.
And those would be the tabulation information.
Oh. Somebody say, pass them out.
What these forms do is they have the bidder's name, and they have also the information as to what they provided.
Thank you, Ron, very much.
Yep, you're welcome, sir.
You can never say KSA doesn't come prepared.
We tried.
Open them up in order that they're listed, if you don't mind. Emergency Restoration Services. Can you do that, Carl? I'll call them out. If that's okay, Ron?
Yes, absolutely.
That just kind of makes it easy. So the first one we're going to open is Emergency Restoration Services, or ERS. Table.
Now these, what's listed here are the people that, or the companies that requested the bid information. They may not have bid on the actual job. So they may have requested, but they may not have actually provided the bid.
It's listed both ways.
Okay.
That's listed here.
And there may be companies that are not on this list that bid. These are only the ones that we were aware of.
Right, he didn't.
So it has to be the same.
Should I have been this the first one?
This area of construction in this position.
Okay, so he came first, okay. Yes, so.
Just go back and forth.
Yeah, I thought I was being efficient. I will not make that mistake.
Confused us.
I was trying to help the committee.
Okay. So the first one with emergency restoration services. Should I also put that in?
I suggest taking a look at the envelope cover.
Please.
Well, it's also.
I'll tell you what, hand those to Ron, if you don't mind.
Okay.
All right.
That way Ron can do it
Okay.
in proper order, if you don't mind. That'd be great.
Okay, the information that's usually on the cover includes a lot more information.
Sure.
And generally that form, I'm not saying that it's wrong, I'm just saying that generally the form includes, and I see you have other bid envelope form looks like this generally. That's proper. This is not exactly proper. It doesn't mean it's not okay. This is the bidder here is Barry Edwards Construction. Larry Edwards Construction is on the list. Their bid envelope information is included.
You might want to pass those out.
Yes, absolutely. We have one more here. Okay, it shows addendum 1. It has proper addendum 1 listed. The base bid is $920,920.00. $920,920. The per cubic yard price listed is $450 per cubic yard.
Ron, where do we put that on your spreadsheet? Where do you have that?
On the unit price column.
Thank you. And what was that price for the unit?
$450.
Thank you.
And yes, under addendums, you can mark number 1. The base bid amount you have there. He lists all of the contracts that will be required, such as HVAC, electric, masonry, concrete, and grading. The document 305 has been completed. And it looks like he has all of his certificates in place. All the documents are executed properly. The bond. And I don't see the bond. Maybe I missed it.
Final page.
I looked at that. Well, here it is. Bid bond, yes, included. Thank you.
Number 2?
This is Terry G. Campbell, Inc., and it has a proper bid envelope attached. I'm sorry, here we go. Okay, and he has a bid form with addendum 1 indicated, so that's proper. His base bid is $889,400 even.
889?
$889,400. His per cubic yard price is $115 per cubic yard. It's authorized. It has a bid bond. The A305 is included. The certificates that are required are here. And his W-9 is here.
A&K.
A&K Construction, they have a bid envelope form. They have a bid form with addendum 1 indicated. Their base bid is $853,000 even, 0 cents. Price per cubic yard is $70 per cubic yard. It's executed as a W-9. It has a bid bond, and it is missing some documents. That's something that needs to be discussed if he's a little bit. He's missing documents. This is, the bidder is Fuel Tank Maintenance Company. FTM Contracting. They have a bid envelope form. We have a bid form acknowledging addendum 1. Base bid, $801,500 even. $801,500 even. Price per cubic yard, $85 per cubic yard. We executed as a bid bond. That was a W-9, and it appears all of the required documents fully completed. And he has a A305 completed.
You're doing pretty good. Everyone you opened up is cheaper than the one before.
We hope to continue doing that for this. Yeah, I'm good. Look into it. Next is Blackford Contracting. They have a bid envelope form completed. I don't see the bid form. Okay, the bid form. They acknowledge addendum 1. Base bid, $1,317,900. $135. $1,317,139.
139 or 135?
139. Price per cubic yard, $100. He has in here a bid bond, W9, and the A305 complete. So we can continue to go down.
Way back up.
Does that include the bids?
Then what?
No, just 5.
That's it, 5?
Quick question, on this form, you've got a dollar limit, is that what the maximum amount each one of the subcontractors can bid up to?
That's
Or what is
correct.
that? Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
And you'll see that on some of these, I don't know if you have a bid form there, but some of these have unlimited on the cover. They have unlimited, and some of them have a limit. All of these have covers, except one.
You had one that you said didn't have the documentation, I think it was.
Yes.
Was it AK? I just want to make sure it doesn't.
Yeah, let's make sure of that.
And the very Edwards, you said that there's quite a bit of difference. It's $450 a cubic yard.
Yes.
And that is correct.
That's what they have. They have, yeah. And this is A&K Construction. He has the bid form, the bid bond, W9, form for certificate of compliance with Tennessee licensing law, certificate of compliance with the Iran Advisement Act. There are other documents which the committee can either accept or say that it's up to you to make that decision. But his bid form is here, his bond is here, and his W9 is here.
Adam, we typically, in these kind of bids, we take them under advisement. So you and KSA can review the documents in detail. Is there a reason why we would want to do anything different here? And what was your recommendation, you and Ron's recommendation to the committee in this regard?
It would be my recommendation to take this under advisement.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second to take it under advisement. Do we have any discussion in the committee? Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of taking it under advisement say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Can you tell me what's the difference between a bid price and a unit price or a cubic yard price?
The way the numbers are scattered all over the place per unit price, that's one reason why I want to go back and look at them, because it doesn't add up to me.
I can tell you that we find that often. And what happens is they have, within this document, there is 500 cubic yards that they have to either move or give a credit on. So contractors can say, okay, I'm going to put that number higher because I know there's more to be done. Or I'm looking at, kind of the contractor's looking at it and say, there's nothing here to move, I'm going to put a low price to look better.
So
There's a way to
for
do that.
clarification, a higher number may mean a credit back to the county in that regard. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
So when if I'm inappropriate, correct me, but we had one applicant bid $450, that's not necessarily a charge to the contract. That could be a credit back to the contract.
It
That would
could
be a choice.
eventually be, but the other thing too is we have within within the bid documents, the geotechnical reports. So the contractor looks at that and says, there's a lot of materials in here to be moved. I'm gonna add the price. Or another contractor may look at it and say, I can work with that. So it again is a contractor's choice as to how he's going to manage that cubic yard cost. Sometimes it turns out to be a credit, sometimes it becomes an extra.
So let me say this, we had anticipated Adam and Ron advising us to take this under advisement, and so we tentatively set a purchasing meeting date for August 15th to award. Adam, my question to you and Ron, does that give you enough time to make a recommendation?
15th.
Yes, sir.
This month?
Yes, sir.
That's Thursday.
That's correct. This is why I'm bringing it up, guys.
I think we may need another couple of days.
Okay, so that's fine. And so we will take this under advisement at the next meeting, however scheduled, after the 15th.
Okay.
Is that okay? That should give you at least a week. And that is August 27th. Is that acceptable to the committee?
Yes,
What day of the week is that? Tuesday still, or?
Yeah, I think we keep them on, yes. We either do them on Tuesday or Thursday, but I think it's also on Tuesday. Yeah, that's a Tuesday. It's 2 weeks from today.
Health and Ed is at 5:30, so we'll be in here at 4:30.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's,
I want to give them plenty of time. Based on the nature of the bids, 2 days didn't seem quite sufficient.
I have a conflict for the 22nd.
It's the 27th.
Oh, 27th, I'm sorry. 27th, yes, that works, okay. Okay.
So,
4:30.
yes, sir. Under advisement till the 27th, as per the committee's request. Thank you, Adam. We have something on other business that Ron has brought to my attention regarding a change order at the transfer station. And Ron, why don't you explain, quite honestly, this is a change order to actually the benefit of the county. And so I'm going to get Ron to explain what we've been kind of working through. And all change orders, as the committee knows, come back to the purchasing committee on established contracts. So.
What we have is, together here.
What he's looking at, when you bring this back on the 27th, could you kind of tell us where those people are? Are they local, are they from out of state, or if we've done business with them before? Sure. Thank you.
Okay. The transfer station, we had a situation there where we have two levels. There's the tipping scale, a tipping floor, where the trucks come in, they dump their load, and then the front end loaders pick that material up, and they turn it into two places, which are at a lower level. One being the compaction machine. There's a truck that backs up to it, and they dump it into this hopper, and it packs it into the truck. There's another bay for an open top truck. And so the front end loader picks up some of that and dumps it into an open top truck. These two aisles, call them aisles, are at a lower level from the tipping floor. The lower level has columns along the way. So when the trucks back up, we don't want them to damage the columns. So what we did was we said, okay, let's take those columns, and up to a certain height, we'll wrap concrete around it. And so that concrete protects the column.
The steel column.
Steel column, yes, I'm sorry, steel column. This is a pre-engineered building with a higher level, lower level. these steel columns come down and they're wrapped with concrete to protect them. One of the questions was, well, after these trucks pull out, when the front end loader dumps this material into the open top, some of it goes beyond the truck, falls onto the level of the floor. So when these trucks pull out, another front end loader, small one, comes in and scoops up that material to clean it up. The problem was that they were thinking, well, if this thing comes in and tries to make a turn, it's going to damage the wall that is between the columns. So the question came up, well, why don't we add a concrete wall that runs along the face of the columns? This would be a wall about 6 foot high, and it would protect the columns, and it would give the cleaning piece of equipment that comes in the ability to clean up and be against that wall and not damage columns. The question came up then is, what is the cost of this? Because we would be replacing the column covers, let's say, with this wall. And so we had a question, well, this is a 6 foot high wall. What's the possibility of using a 3 foot high wall? And then as we get to the column, just jack it up to a 2 by 2 that is 6 foot high, and that would protect the column at a higher level because the back of the trucks are higher. So then we looked at that and we said, okay, we've got two options. We have a 6 foot high wall, 8-inch concrete, or we have a 3 foot high wall with a 2 foot bump up, or 3 foot bump up every column to protect the column. Two options. We gave that to the contractor to give us a quotation on what that cost would be. We also looked at another thing, and that is that when we have a pre-engineered building, pre-engineered buildings move a little bit. And so they have to be shear, they have to have shear protection, shear wall protection. And that usually involves X-bracing between the columns. Well, when we were designing this, we said, we're not sure how much this is going to move, so let's put in shear wall protection, which would be 5/8 plywood along the entire outside of the wall behind the metal facing. Then we talked to the pre-engineered building manufacturer, and he has included enough X-bracing within his construction design to minimize or eliminate the movement. In that case, excuse me, we said, well, now at this point we don't need the 5/8 plywood. So we got a request for a deduction to the contractor, and he gave us a price on that. When we look overall, we have three things to look at. One is the cost of a 6 foot high, a 3 foot high wall with a bump every column. And that was $40,595. We said, okay, what is the cost of a 6 foot high wall running the entire length? Not the bump up. And that was $27,466. Much cheaper because the amount of form work was involved, and that would require labor, forms, and so forth. So it's cheaper to go with a 6 foot high wall straight through, $27,000 and change. Then we said, okay, well, what is the credit for taking out the plywood? That came to $32,825. So between doing all of this, if we went with a 6 foot high wall, which is the best protection, take out the plywood, we actually have come up with a credit of $5,000 and change. Now, just to explain what this all means, this is a diagram. Pass this around. Let's see. Now, one diagram, you see the plan. The plan shows the lower level on the right. That's the lower level on the right. It shows a compactor and a long aisle for the open top. And if you take a look at the open top along on the side, on the left of the open top, that's the length of the wall we're talking about here. That's it exactly. So that would be an 8-inch concrete wall, 6 foot high, reinforced concrete, the rebar would go into the footing, so it's structurally sound, and it would be 1 inch away from the steel columns, so that because of wind movement, those columns are going to move a little bit, and so that would be allowing for that movement. The diagram on the extreme right shows the wall construction and where the plywood would be eliminated. So the plywood is behind the metal facing of the exterior, and what we're removing still has the proper wall covering, which is the metal.
So if I could interrupt,
Please.
This conversation got started when I was out at the construction site a week ago Friday, and Ron Duggan said, when it comes to cleaning up the floor area where the trucks back in to get loaded, especially the open top, because of the way those trucks are loaded with the wheel loader, trash necessarily blows out or falls out on the floor. And then we have a skid steer Bobcat that'll go in there and quickly clean that up. We became worried that that skid steer might damage the exterior wall of our prefab metal building, which would be a bad thing. And so then initially we talked about, well, can we just put a curb in there as a bump stop for that bucket, so that bucket would not tear up that exterior metal wall. And then as we got to thinking about it, well, if we did that, then trash is going to get over between the curb and that vacant space to the outer wall. And then so we got to come up, then we got thinking, well, now we've still got the issue of the trailers backing in there and hitting these columns. And so that's where Ron then came up with the idea. And just to be clear, what you're saying is that we can build a 6-foot high wall that's the length of the
entire length.
The entire length. It protects those columns,
Yes.
while at the same time giving us a unobstructed way to clean the material without damaging the exterior prefab metal building, correct?
That is correct.
And we save $5,000.
And you save 5,000 and change. It's 5,400, something like that.
We've got a better building.
You get a better building, and you're getting a credit of 5,000 and change.
And this won't interfere with the trucks at all.
This actually will help them, because what happens is if a truck is coming in, the open top is coming in, and this does a little bit of a movement, it could damage the side wall. The columns are protected.
We don't mind them hitting the concrete wall. That's going to be reinforced concrete wall. We don't want us hitting those columns, damaging the metal building.
Yep.
I guess what I'm saying, there's still plenty of room. It
Yes.
seems like we're adding here, so
Yes.
there's still plenty of room for the trucks.
Yes.
And our contractor understands that.
Well, the space between the new wall and the foundation wall of the change in level is 13 foot 7 inches. When I talked to Bishop, and I talked to Mr. Bilt, who is the David Hudson.
With NDI, they'll be operating the trucks.
These are the guys that operate the trucks, and I talked with him, he said 13 foot is fine. And they back in, they'll have no trouble at all.
So what we have is fine.
Yes, that's correct.
Did the plywood have any other use besides the wind stress?
That was the only reason we put it in as a safety measure, because we weren't sure which company was going to get the bid. We wound up with Kirby, and Kirby is protecting that building with enough X-bracing.
Okay, and I understood that sounded good. Is this building going to be open at all times? Or
Yes.
Okay.
We have 5 bays without overhead doors. They'll be open all the time.
Good.
In other words, I think what you're getting at is it's not conditioned. That's correct.
Would the $5,000 credit be there for a possible future change order?
Well, it depends on how you want to do that, but it would be, yeah, because you have a contingency built up to this contract. Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you.
No, I've answered all my questions. Thank you.
Okay, yes.
So you just need from us a motion to approve the change order?
If that's what the purchasing committee would like to do, yes.
Well, I'll move that we approve the change order as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second.
Just have
Any-
one more question about
Further discussion, please.
the plywood, I'm assuming would be fire retardant since it's in there where we've got combustion and all. But it would still burn eventually. If it was hot enough, it'd still burn.
Oh, yeah, it would.
So this is another plus to me.
Yes.
I mean, just as a novice, but.
Right. But let me just clarify a little bit too. When you have a pre-engineered building, you've got columns that are spaced far apart, and then you have girts that run across. And those girts are 4 foot apart, this way. So the metal wall has plenty of protection in the sense, even without the plywood. So the wind is not going to disturb that outer skin of the metal building.
I remember in the past, change orders going before like Public Works. What happens after, if this is approved, what happens then? Does it go to Public Works for communication somehow, some way?
I'm not sure on that. The most recent projects that we've been doing have been through the PPA. So those change orders are approved through the PPA. Well, I'm not sure who would approve the change order.
Well, it was my understanding, and I could be incomplete, but that change orders that this body is overseeing come back to this body for approval. That was my understanding.
My understanding as well.
Can you help me? Is that not correct?
That's correct. As long as it doesn't, in this case, and I had to step out, but in this case, I think it was funding neutral or even a credit to the county.
Correct.
So in this case, it stops here. The only difference would be is if a change order required additional funding, and then generally you take that under advisement, and it would have to go obtain funding, usually from budget or somewhere else, and then come back to this body.
Any other questions? There's no objection. We'll call the roll.
Sir, Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Mackin?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Peake?
Yes.
Chairman Clark?
Aye.
Thank you.
I understand it doesn't have to, but I think it'd be a smart thing to do when we're updating Public Works on buildings, this building, that we communicate that change order and what we have there. That's okay with you guys.
Anything else?
I have nothing else.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you.
May I take these?
I need to make
Is it-
Okay.
for
I'll come-
please.
Yeah.
Can you hang out?
Absolutely.
Okay. And because I'll need a copy of, can I have your copy of the change order pricing that you have?
Yes. I sent Mr. Mayor the information on the change order as an email.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have to sign the change order? Is that what you're?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Adam.
We'll call it, we'll wait for you.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Adam,
Sir.
which one? Which
Working
one?
with it.
Mixture.
Ron? Carla needs guidance on which one she needs to.
Yeah, this is the inside.
Which one is the one to?
We are approving. This one.
The last item on the agenda is item 7, the request for proposal for loading, hauling, disposal of waste for the transfer station and waste management contract. You should have a copy of the contract in front of you. If not, we have a copy available. And if, without objection, I'm going to ask Nick and Christian, Michael Smith, and Eric Hennessy to join us if we have some questions about how the contract was negotiated.
There's a bunch.
Nick, if you don't mind getting us started talking about how the contract began and the process. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was a contract or RFP that we discussed with Waste Management. It was about a 6-month period. If you just kind of want to give the committee an overview of that contract and what's in it, and just how if this contract differs from other contracts, just to get us started.
You said we had a copy of the contract in front of us.
Well, I passed them out. I don't know if you brought it with you. I can go get others.
That's the bullet points that you talked about.
No, sir, I was talking about the actual contract. I have a contract for you, and bullet points. There you go. You got mine. No, go ahead. You're fine. So we have additional copies if anybody needs. Carl, do you have one?
I got it.
Anthony, you got yours?
Yes, sir.
Mike?
Yeah, so I'll see what at least I can fill in from what I know. My involvement in this started when the bids had already come in for it, and I believe that I'll have to ask the mayor's office about what bids were received, but I think that there was only one bid that was responsive.
That's correct.
To the request for proposals, and that was with Waste Management. And then at some point later, there was a agreement proposed by Waste Management, and I was asked to conduct a legal review of it. And in conjunction with Mr. Hennessy, we went back and forth with the Waste Management legal counsel on getting it appropriate as to legal form and the contractual provisions contained within it. And then that was it, at least from my perspective on it. So, like I said, the bid RFP, I think, went out sometime in June, and I believe a former consultant for the county H&A prepared that bid form, but wasn't pulled into the thing until after the bids had already been come in, and for the day before the bids had come in to be received. That's where we are on that. The contract, I think everybody understands, has been signed in principle. And with that being said, Mayor, I think you discussed this with Waste Management.
I did.
You want to?
Yeah, sure. So when we found out that the signature was premature, which I've already shared with y'all was an error in process, we instructed Waste Management that there's a process that the county is bound by within our private act of 2017, and that the mayor does not have the authority to sign a contract without proper approval of the RFP and the contract. And so what we have in effect is a contract that's not binding. And so we're here to basically determine if the county wants to proceed with a relationship with Waste Management for the loading, transportation, and disposal of solid waste from the Rutherford County Transfer Station as defined in the contract. So if we were to approve this, it would be a motion to accept the RFP and the contract from Waste Management. That is, Nick, you and Eric, help me out here, but that is the lawful, legal way, we get back to where we need to be because, again, of the error that I made in signing it prematurely.
So to recap, the waste management was the only bid.
That's correct. They were the only proposal. Yes, sir.
Proposal.
Yes, sir.
And so then you looked at the contract.
I've looked at it as the legal form, yes, sir.
And it best suits the county.
In terms of the legal provisions contained within it, yes, I stand by that. Whether it is substantively what the county desires in terms of the fuel charge rates and the tonnage rates, that would be a decision for the county, not me. But I did look at it for legal form.
I've got a couple of questions. We did have some problems here. You know, we made some missteps as far as our purchasing act. Actually, and I don't really want to get into any of that, but in my mind, the best way to straighten this out would be to rebid it and then have approval from this committee and then give the mayor approval to work on the contract. But at the same time, I'd like for that to be vetted by the Public Works Committee before we actually get a proposal or a contract. And the reason being, you know, a lot of the questions that have come up have to do with, you know, how did we come up with the cost? And I know the mayor's went at length at times to show us, but I know there was some frustration from the committee members for not being involved in it. But I'd like to see it, you know, even if this committee approves it, to go back to Public Works to be vetted. I don't think there's a time constraint. I mean, we've got to at least the first of the year. So we've got, you know, a month or two when this can be rebid. My question to Nick is that going to be a problem if we rebid this?
So timing aside, so let's just remove the timing element of it, of when the county would want to enter into a contract. I think an option, as you stated, would be another alternative that this body could engage in, which would be to reject all the bids. You only had the one bid, but to reject the bid, because you reserve the right under the Purchasing Act to do that. And then you could request that the RFP be sent out, redone, and solicit bids, and that they be brought back before this purchasing committee, who then, if you so desired, could take it under advisement and secondly, refer it to the Public Works Committee for discussion and recommendation back to purchasing. That routinely happens on various items. If this committee believes that it's appropriate for other committees to look at this on important and non-routine matters. So it's not like, you know, we're doing leasing a copy machine or buying a bunch of paper for the county. And so I think that would be an alternative that you could do. Now, the Public Works Committee wouldn't be the one that would award the contract, but they could hold a meeting and ask the prospective bidders or responders with the bids to come and answer questions, and you could discuss it in a public meeting and then make a recommendation back to Purchasing Committee, who has the authority to award the bid into in the contract.
Nick, is that what should have happened? Is that the process that should have happened?
Under the Private Act, the Purchasing Committee has got the authority to award the bid, and that's typically what's been done. It's vested in this body. The Commission, through the Private Act, has vested this body with the approval authority and the award authority for bids responsive to an RFP. It's my understanding that the waste management bid did not get presented before this committee, before the mayor signed it. And so a way to cure that would be to either take what you have before you tonight and approve it, or alternatively, as Mr. P suggested, rebidding the item back out.
Public Works Chairman, what do you think? I've heard from everybody else, they keep bringing up Public Works, and you the chairman, so I definitely want to hear from you.
Commissioner P, are you saying we would work along with the mayor and others to arrange a new contract?
Well, I'm saying rebid it, and I want Public Works to have input. We've been working on this for over 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, is the input.
And I think Nick did a good job of basically describing, one of the avenues we could go. And I would suggest that's what we do.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, it's a longer process, but we know if there's a question on transparency, that takes care of that, if we rebid.
The opening of the bids is causing some heartache,
Yes.
heartburn, I guess I should say. If we approve the contract today, in essence in arrears, if we approved it today, that would not eliminate that question of transparency about opening the bids. If what Commissioner P is suggesting would eliminate any questions from the general public or from other commissioners or those type of things, correct?
I think that's a correct statement, yes, sir.
Was for clarification, and I know I missed a meeting or so during that time, but on the proposal that came for Waste Management, was that officially opened here and reviewed?
The RFP for disposal service was written by H&A Engineering. In the RFP, which was unusual and had not happened before, and to my knowledge hasn't happened since, for whatever reason, the RFP stipulated that the bids would be opened in the mayor's office and then sent to Public Works and onto the commission for full approval. That process is not in accordance with the Private Act. How that process was written into the RFP, I don't have an explanation. H&A wrote the RFP, and so we were following, the mayor's office was following what they believed at the time to be the appropriate process. After reading the Private Act, or 2017 Purchasing Private Act, it's clear that it wasn't. All RFPs, without exception, as my understanding is, all RFPs are awarded by the purchasing committee. And so that is the step that was missed several months ago that we're seeking to remedy tonight. If that's, which is, again, we have two options, I think, in front of us. It's the option that Chairman P laid out, or it's the option of accepting the RFP and the contract from Waste Management tonight.
But did purchasing ever, was the Waste Management proposal brought to purchasing?
No, it was not, and that was the error. Yes, sir. It was not. It was.
So it wasn't just a contract, it wasn't open for the purchasing to review?
No, it was not. It was, again, we did in accordance with the RFP as written by H&A, and so it was an oversight. No, we did not do it correctly.
Okay.
Who hired H&A?
The Public Works gave them the award to design the transfer station, and then used them and that expertise in writing this RFP, and the county commission.
So H&A brought back the information. They opened the bid, right?
No, they did not open it. We did a public opening with a sign-in sheet in the mayor's office. It was in the RFP document for waste disposal that and I'm trying to recollect from memory, but I think it was at 2 o'clock on a particular afternoon, and there we had a sign-in sheet, and so it was a public opening. There was only one, well, we had two responses. One response was Waste Management in that proposal. The second was, I think it was Ray County, and they said, we declined to bid at this time. And so we only had two respondents to the RFP. One was a no bid, and the other one was waste management.
I don't want to get into, I don't want to get into a lot of discussion, but the public opening, I'm not sure how that was publicized. And, you know, an agenda like this goes out for bid openings and things, but that's one of the issues that keep coming up is how was that communicated and
I believe it was advertised in the paper.
It was.
Well, I don't think there was any intent to hide the opening. You know, we've all seen an email basically that spells this out. Like I said, I don't want to get into details, but I think it would be best for the county and for this committee to rebid it. That way there's no question about transparency. There's no question about the steps that we made or mismade. But anyway, I'll make that motion to rebid this.
Mr. Chair, is it?
Hold on just a second.
Is it possible?
Can you hold on just a second?
Sure.
I've got a motion on the floor.
Yes, sir.
I need to address the motion. Commissioner, can you restate the motion?
I'd like to rebid RFP, rebid this, and I'd like to also have Public Works involved as Mr. Christensen kind of outlined before.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, so do we have any discussion?
And that includes rejection of any that been received?
Yes.
Okay.
So for clarity's sake, so we're going to, the motion is to reject the waste management proposal and to open it back up. Is that correct? For proposal?
That's correct. I wasn't going to.
I want to make sure the minutes are reflected accurately as well.
That's correct. I'd like for, yes.
So we have a motion, and Carl, is that your second? All right. Do we have any further discussion? I want to recognize Commissioner Cush.
the RFP, would that be rewritten as well?
I haven't looked at it. I didn't write it either, and I don't think there's a tendency.
Is the company that wrote it, they're no longer affiliated with us? Wouldn't that need to be redone?
To some extent.
Okay.
It'll have to some extent, the RFP, I would imagine, will have to be rewritten.
Right.
That's right.
Is that covered, Nick, under?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Earlier, I saw movement in the audience, and Commissioner Cush was asking to be recognized.
I tried to recognize him, and y'all won't let me.
Yeah, and I was trying to get an opening there, but I would like for him to come and speak.
I'm trying to.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner, thank you very much. Commissioner Cush.
Thank you, gentlemen. I think you may not be thinking this all the way through, so I just want to bring this point to your attention before you go to vote. I appreciate Commissioner Pease wanting to be totally transparent, but I'm afraid the cat is out of the bag, and here's why. In all fairness, Waste Management now has a price that is out for public knowledge. It would be a disservice to them, now that they have exposed their hand with this price, to go back out to bid, because now their competition, who had a chance to bid in the first place and chose not to, now knows what price to beat. Waste Management could say, man, I gave you my best price. I'm not going to come back and bid it a second time. So this is something you really need to think through. If I was bidding this and I gave you my best price and you're going to reject it and allow my competitor to have a second chance to come back, and I've exposed my price, I would think twice about wanting to do business with you. So I want you to think about that. Their price is out in public knowledge for their competition to review. All they got to do is beat it by a nickel. So I think you let this stand as it is, award the contract, and go on.
We don't have to award the contract to the lowest bidder. If somebody came in and did something like that, I think we'd all recognize it.
That was my thoughts exactly. So my question would be, or thoughts would be, is to send this to Public Works for their review, and then send it back here. That gives 2 committees to look at it, and then we'll make the decision. Because I think he's right. If we rebid it, that information is already public knowledge. And I think there's a fairness issue with the rebid.
I will add to that. Waste Management has worked with Nick and Eric for 6 months and myself. This is through no fault of their own. This is the fault of the mayor's office not getting the process exactly right. And I think the committee would understand that. However, as the chair, we have a proper motion and a proper second. And so we are bound by Robert's rules to take that into consideration with a proper vote. Is there any further discussion on Chairman P's motion to reject this proposal and rebid it? Is there any further discussion?
I'm just gonna ask for a no vote. If you,
It'll be.
I'll give you the chance to take the motion out if you want to do that. But I'm gonna vote no.
Commissioner Gooch, it'll be a yes or a no. So a yes will be to reject Waste Management's proposal. A yes would be to accept, a yes vote would accept the motion. A no vote would be to reject the motion. And then you could, if the no votes prevail, then you could make the motion to send it to Public Works. We have a proper motion and second in front of us. Chairman P, did you want to say something?
I do, and I started off by saying I don't want to dig into this, because all that's going to do is make us all, all that's going to do is muddy the waters, and I don't want to get into that. You know, I think the clearest thing for us to do is to rebid this. I think Waste Management is understanding. They've been working with us. I think they're a very viable company, and they can certainly rebid if that's their request. You know, and I think that we're smart enough if somebody came in with a nickel or something under like that. Personally, I would look at those circumstances, but I think they should also look at what our rules state and we didn't follow. And for transparency and for future bid openings, I think this is the best course of action to take.
Any further questions or discussion? To clarify, a yes vote is to reject the Waste Management proposal. A no vote is to open back up to discussion. Are there any further questions or discussion on the vote?
In the motion to rebid.
It is to, yes, but to reject and rebid, that is correct.
And to be vetted by Public Works.
Right. That'll be done when you open it again.
Yeah, that would be a separate issue. Carla, call the roll.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner McAdoo?
No.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
No.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Chairman Carr?
Abstain. Four to two. The motion prevails. The contract is rejected, and we will rebid. Any further questions? Any other business?
Have we signed anything, Carl?
He was rolling. Cheers.
Oh, we stand adjourned.
Our next meeting's the 27th.